Okay, it's actually day 7, no, day 6 of trying to actually prepare for a new one. Now, first of all, I said I was gonna write a script for day 5, and I didn't upload it on day 5, and I have a good reason for it. Day 5, it was my birthday. No, that wasn't the reason. That would have been a very shitty reason, but it's not. The main reason, ooh, there's a cool plane up there. Anyways, the main reason I didn't upload on day 5 is because I actually spoke in front of the class twice, so that counts as my daily training. So I didn't study it, no, and I didn't study. No, I meant to say I didn't prepare for I didn't upload the video. Is what I mean. So now, for day 6, I thought rather than writing a script, it would be better to improve my reading skills. So, which is really bad. So, which you will see in a bit. And it's also nighttime, so I have a torch up here, and my hair fall is more apparent now. Anyways, that set that aside. I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna read a book in this remaining 8 minutes. See how I hope I improve. Anyways, so I'm gonna read Metamorphosis. And I think I left out in page 6. Okay. Can you see me? Yes, you can. Anyways, first he tried to get. See, it's so bad. First, he tried to get his upper body out of the bed first, and turned his head carefully toward the edge of the bed. He managed to do this easily, and in spite of its width and weight, his body mass slowly followed the turning of his head. But as he finally raised his head outside the bed, in the open air, he became anxious. About moving forward any further in this manner. For if he allowed himself eventually to fall by this process, it would take a miracle to prevent his head from getting injured. And at all costs, he must not lose consciousness right now. He preferred to remain in bed. However, after a similar effort, while he lay there again, sighing as before, and once again saw his little limbs fighting one another, if anything worse than before, and it didn't see any chance of imposing quite an order. Oh man, what am I doing? Quite an order on this arbitrary movement. He told himself again that he couldn't possibly remain in bed, and that it might be the most reasonable thing to sacrifice everything if there was even the slightest hope of getting himself out of bed in the process. At the same moment, however, he didn't forget to remind himself from time to time, of the fact that calm, indeed the calmest reaction, might be better than the most confused decisions. At such moments, he directed his gaze as precisely as he could toward the window. But unfortunately, there was little to be had from confidence sheer to be had from a glance. See, I'm so bad. Glance at the morning mist, which concealed even the other side of the narrow street. It's already 7 o'clock, he told himself, at latest striking of the alarm clock. Already 7 o'clock, and still such a fog. And for a little while longer, he lay quietly with the week breaking, as if perhaps waiting for normal and natural conditions to re-emerge. re-emerge out of the complete stillness. But then he said to himself, before it strikes a quarter past 7, whatever happens, I must be completely out of bed. Besides, by then someone from the office will arrive to inquire about me, because the office will not open before 7, I think. Before 7 o'clock. And he made an effort, then to rock his entire body length out of the bed in uniform motion. If he let himself fall out of bed in this way, his head, which in the course of fall intended to lift up sharply, would probably remain uninjured. His back seemed to be hard. Nothing would really happen to it as a result of the fall. His greatest reservation was about to worry. His reservation was a worry about the loud noise which the fall must create, and which presumably would arouse, if not fright, then at least concern the other side of all the doors. However, he had to be tired. It's so bad, man. It's so bad. At least I look good. Anyways. As Gregor was in the process of lifting himself half out of bed, the new method was more of a game than an effort. He needed only to rock with a constant rhythm. It struck him how easily all this would be if someone were to come to his aid. Two strong people, he thought of his father and the servant girl would have been quite sufficient. They would have only had to push their arms under his arched back to get him out of bed, to bend down with their load, and then merely exercise patience and care for he completed the flip into the floor, where his diminutive legs would then, he hoped, acquire a purpose. Now, quite apart from the fact that the doors were locked, should he really call out for help? In spite of all his distress, he was unable to suppress a smile at this idea. He had already got to the point where, with a stronger rocking, he maintained his equilibrium with difficulty, and very soon he would finally have decided, for in 5 minutes it would be 7:15. Then there was a ring at the door of the apartment. That's someone from the office, he told himself, and he almost froze while his little limbs only danced around all the faster. For one moment everything remained still. They aren't opening, Gregor said to himself, caught up in some absurd hope. But of course then, as usual, the servant girl with her firm tread went to the door and opened it. Gregor needed to hear only the visitor's first word of greeting to recognize immediately who it was. It was the manager himself. Why was Gregor the only one condemned to work in a firm where the slightest lapse, someone immediately attached the greatest suspicion? Were all the employees then collectively and one and all scoundrels? Was there then among them no truly devoted person who, if he failed to use just a couple of hours in the morning for office work, would become abnormal from pangs and